everyone. Well, as it sometimes happens, best laid plans don't go in accordance of what you wish. We started off this morning, we went out to one of the pubs we're currently sort of investigating a little bit, and we think one of the workmen's have taken off with the key somewhere, so we couldn't actually get in. So that was the end of that. So we decided we'd drift out to Dowling Cemetery and see if we can do a little bit of spot of paranormaling there, or have a bit of a look around. And somebody was in there with a little tent thing selling Christmas trees. So we decided, nah, there's got to be too many people coming in and out. So we've gone a little bit further afield. We've gone to Learmonth, and we've driven up to this cemetery before, and the first time I drove up to this cemetery I really didn't like the feel of it. So we've come back here just to have a bit of a look around and see what we feel about it this time round. Alright, let's go check it out. This is all set on a hillside here. Vibe's not too bad so far. A couple of the old ones here. Bethany's gone up there with Baby, one of the spirited dolls. A couple of the older graves. And this one's really come down a bit. Now, just wondering if we will actually spot any graves here marked Learmonth. In our last vid there was a mention of the Learmonth brothers who came out to look for gold, and this is being Learmonth Cemetery. Possibly some of the family might be buried here. We shall see. There's a couple of newer graves too. Bev's having a little hard time getting up the hill, but that's okay. Just taking our time. Pretty substantial, that one. Yeah. Yep, they've said certainly making a statement. Sweet list. Alexander Harry, aged 4 years, 11 months. Accidentally killed at Burrumbee. Blessings. Lots of love to you. Been here since the 1800s, so there's a little bit of deterioration. We've found one that's quite substantial. Captain William F. McCarroll, White Horse Regiment, killed in action in Palestine, 1918, aged 27 years. And Arthur, who died in infancy, 1893.
Robinson, killed in action in France, 9th of May, 1818.
Killed in action in France, 1918. There's a lot of people who came out to, who went out to the war, came from this area, and Ballarat. As you probably saw a couple of vids ago, we did one about all the trees with all the name plaques of all the soldiers that were in the war. Cheers to the Scotsman. In memory of Archibald John Dalgleish, born Roxburghshire, Scotland, 1839. Late of Lake Bolac, which is sort of in Victoria. Died 1818. 1918, sorry.
You can't get much more Scot than Dalgleish, can you?
Yeah, Dalgleish is pretty Scottish. George McCarthy, who died in 1861, so one of the pioneers of the area. This one's slightly been knackered, put it boldly. We've got some pretty prominent ones out the back here too. These are natives of Dornoch, however you pronounce it, Scotland. Died in 1889, 1879, 1863. Quite substantial. Murdoch, Mackenzie. Again native of Scotland. Died in Melbourne, 1896. And obviously came to a family plot.
Hello, is there anyone here who'd like to talk to me today? My name's Bethany. The gentleman with the glasses and the black jacket is Rick. The young lady connected to the dolly that's on the rock is BB. Would you like to introduce yourself and have a chat? Yes, I don't have my dog with me. Last time we were here, I had my dog with me.
Can you tell us your name? Is it Stephen? Cheryl? Is any of the Learmonth brothers here?
I
Any of the Learmont family?
Picking up a Melissa, are you here?
Oh, hi there. How are you? Yes, I'm Rick. This is Bethany. Could you call out your name for us?
You can take the sound that's coming out of the little black box on the rock, and you can manipulate it to talk to us.
That's me. It's a nice view up here. You can see all the way to Lake Learmont. Did you live around here on these hills somewhere?
Yes. We're good. How are you? Is there an Andrew? Paul? Hi Paul, how are you?
Somebody said cat before. What's that short for? Katrina?
Mishka.
Mishka? That's a dog I used to have. Mishka.
Yeah, wasn't that your Samoyed?
That was my Samoyed.
I just got Mishka.
Did you used to have pets?
Purse. That's BB.
Beautiful hill, this one. Beautiful view.
A lot of people from Scotland here.
That's BB.
Says hi. Mishka.
So the wind's picked up. There's a Mishka. A couple of times we've heard Mishka. Trig.
I don't have my dog with me this time. Had my dog with me. Dog, yeah.
Do you mind us being up here and visiting? Is it okay while you're here? Do you get many people trying to talk to you?
Is Trim a cat? Yes. Who belonged to Trim the cat? Megan?
What sort of work did you do when you lived around here? War? Were you in the war? That was pretty clear.
It's a nautical term.
If you're in the war, can you tell us your name? Perhaps we might find your grave.
Help.
Anyone? Can anyone tell us their name?
Kira. Trim's a nautical term. Do we have any people from the Navy? I remember what trim means. I think it's
something to do with the sails.
Yeah.
Trim something to do with sails.
Phoebe, yeah? And Jack?
Did somebody say Learmonth? Because that's where we are. Yes? Is there a family, a Learmonth family buried here?
Now they're getting busy.
Sounds a bit busy, you're rather chatty.
Do we have a Dave? Good. We always have a Dave.
Everywhere we go we have a Dave.
You there, Dave? Not sure who Dave is, but he follows us everywhere.
Alright, I've got to turn the Necrophonics off for a minute. Thank you for talking to us. You're welcome to follow us around. I'll use an S-Box shortly so you can re-communicate with us. Thanks for talking to us. Just have a bit of a look around if that's okay. Is that okay? Yeah? Just like to have a look at some of the cemetery graves here.
Can I ask a question? Who's Kira? Did Kira come to talk to you?
Okay, thanks for talking to us. Okay, Beth's got to try some rods. Does anybody here know how to use rods?
There is someone here. I've just got to
Do
get
you know it's across the rods for yes, pull them apart for no.
someone does.
That's good. Alright. Can you tell us, are you a male? Are there any females around? Yep. Who would like to talk? Does a male want to talk? No. Does a female want to talk? Yep. Okay, thank you. So, it's alright. Just the things. Alright, so are you buried here at this cemetery? Thank you. Have you lived in this area for a fair while? You're pretty, okay. It looks, were you pretty new to the area? Okay, thank you. Did you pass away with illness?
She's right behind me. But it's like there's a barrier. Like I'm feeling like it's not me, there's a barrier between her and I. It's like there's a wall. She's having trouble. I don't think it's deliberate. I think it's more of a neurological. It's not me. My guide's going, no, you're fine, which is a change lately. But it's more her understanding of where she is isn't great.
Okay. Can you settle the rods for a minute so we can talk to you a little bit? Alright. When you passed, I'm going to do some counting. And can you let us know roughly how old you were? Yes, good. Alright.
Keep it
So,
simple.
I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to start off. Were you in your teens? Were you in your 20s? Were you in your 30s?
I think she's indigenous.
Are you indigenous? You're Aboriginal?
You're from the land? Yeah,
You're from this land?
Yeah. Chronological age, I don't think, was something they measured.
And were you buried in this cemetery?
Okay. It's not a cemetery.
Were you buried before there was a burial ground here? Okay. So you were buried here in this area before the whites came and put up all of these concrete things.
Now she's got it. It's not a neurological thing. It's more of a time, a snippet in time.
Well, it's nice to speak to you, and we give you and your clan, your tribe, we give you lots of respect.
It's only a short
You
lady.
were the first people here. We respect that.
She's a little short lady. She's an elderly lady.
And we send apologies for any wrongs that were done to you.
She's got like grey hair, and it's kind of pulled up on top of her head and kind of tied up with something. But you can see the bits that have come out. It's very, very long. Like she's a little lady, but she's old. No disrespect. She's old, but she's very, 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 very old. Do you know what I mean?
You hear a motorbike in the distance. There's a couple of kids riding their motorbike up. It's very country around here.
She's very, very old. Like she's not, and she's got like something tying her hair up to keep it off the back of her neck, and she's got nothing on top, and she's got like a little, it's like a little skirt that's made out of, I'm trying to not sound like a stupid white chick, it's like plaited into, it's like a whole bunch of strands of grasses that are plaited, and it's in a pattern, it's been knotted. She's wearing a skirt, she's got nothing on top, but she's not worried about that. And she's got this little skirt that comes just past her knees, and it's all knotted, individual knotted strands. She's a lovely sort of nurtury, sort of wise sort of energy, and she's got one of the knotted handmade baskets, and there's stuff in it that she's collected, like bits of trees and herbs and stuff and bark and stuff in it. I know where she walked in from, but she came right behind me.
Just pull out your rods again.
She's got no teeth at the front.
Okay. Now, do you see other people around apart from us? Yes. Do you see a tall man in a suit, well dressed with a hat?
She doesn't like him.
Yeah, because he's standing, I've been feeling him over on my left hand side, which is over this way.
Yeah, she doesn't like him.
I don't think we'll pick him up on the camera, but he's a rather tall man, rather stern.
Looks like one of the men in black. That's what
One
I'm
of the
getting.
men in black.
Yeah.
Well, he seemed to be very dominant in the area,
Yeah.
had a little bit of power in some form or another.
Yeah, she doesn't like. She is not keen on
You
him
know,
at all.
kind of like felt that you would feel him.
She's not keen on him.
You're not very keen on him.
No, she'd rather stay here than go there.
That's okay. You don't have to go anywhere near it.
She's got something in her hand. She's taken something out of the bag, and it's like animal bones, but it's kind of, it's a rattle, I think, and it's got animal bones on it, and she's shaking it at him to try and get him to go away. Like I don't know whether she's a medicine woman or I don't.
This guy that's I'm feeling, he's just a bit gruff. It's not any harm or anything. He's just,
She's doing
it's
this.
like an overseer of, he was probably an overseer of property around here or something, and he's overseeing this land here now because he's apparently buried here is what I'm picking up too, so not sure who he is.
But this lady, she doesn't like it. She's shaking this thing at him, and she's talking to him in her
And this
native
is the thing
language,
too,
and
it's
she's
like-
telling him to go away. It's like, from what I'm getting, I can't understand what she's saying, but the intent is like, you know, bugger off, mate.
And this is the thing too, it's like we as people, there are some people we connect to and some people we like and some people we don't like. And it's the same with spirit. You could have a dozen spirit in an area and you could have 4 or 5 spirit that don't like another 4 or 5 spirit. They don't like their energy, don't like their attitudes. It's the same as us.
I think her issue with him goes back to when she was on Earth. I think it's that whole settlers and
probably
and
because he
indigenous.
tried to domineer the area,
and she doesn't like it.
and tried to domineer the natives that were here too. And of course, all the natives that were in this area were moved on.
She's showing me her ankle, and there's a scar around her ankle where a shackle or a chain used to be. Like she's touching her ankle like this. She's sitting on the rock behind me. She's touching her ankle like this, and there's like she's a very dark lady, but there's like a patch on her ankle where she keeps doing this. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. She keeps touching her ankle like that, and the pigment in her skin has changed. It's scarred. It's lighter. She's a very dark lady, and it's lighter. And she's touching it, and she's pointing to him, and she's showing me that it goes right round, and there's a bigger scar at the back. It's like there was a shackle on her ankle.
Which they did do to the Aboriginals here when they did try to move them on.
Yeah.
Or try to enslave them as well.
And she's showing me she's getting really, she's like, oh, she can hear me. Okay, I can tell her all this stuff. And she's got one. She's showing me her wrists too, and there's a thinner one around her wrist, and she's doing this. So maybe the shackle went from her wrists around her neck, and she had one down on her ankles. Like she's doing this, and she's showing me this. And she's trying to show me that it was all connected. She's a lovely lady.
And this male that I'm connecting to, still standing over in this area over here. Don't think we'll pick him up at all on the camera, but very, very gruff, very lord of the manor type of thing, lord of the land, and one of the early settlers. And there's I think it was more to do with farming, settling the land and all that sort of stuff, but I think he had quite a substantial bit of land from what I'm feeling. And his whole attitude towards people was, I'm in it to make profit. I'm in it to make a name for myself. I don't care about anybody else. People were just profit. People were puppets to him.
I'm getting,
It's the sense that I'm getting.
You know the photos you see, and it's really shameful. You see the early settlement of Australia, and it's really shameful. The native people all lined up against a shed. It's like a collar, a metal collar around their neck, and then it comes down, and then it goes onto their wrist, or they've just got the collar and they're all shackled together. And then that's what she's showing me. She's not upset with us, but she doesn't like him. She's actually I'm feeling she's quite protective of me because I'm a woman, and he obviously didn't treat women well.
So I send you a lot of respect and a lot of love. The wind's starting to kick up a little bit. We're going to have a bit of an explore around some of the grounds here. You're quite welcome to follow us around while we're here, but you can't come home with us. We've got enough spirit at home as it is. But we will come back. We do send you lots of love and light, and we'll also send a couple of our guides your way in case you do want to cross over, and they can help lead you through the light, lead you back to family who are waiting.
She tells me my
Our guides are very good at doing that wherever we go.
family.
Quite often our guides step in and do help spirit cross over. Quite often we don't have to do too much at all. We just send that thought, that energy out there, and that's how to do it.
This is where she doesn't want to go.
We know this is where you belong, so you probably won't
She's
go.
connected here. She's
is your land.
And she belongs here.
And this is your view. And what a view it is.
Yeah.
And you're quite welcome to stay.
Yeah. That's a white man concept to her. She stays here because this is where she belongs.
This is your land, you're part of the land.
And this is where she needs to be.
In time, your people will come to find you too. Quite often when you go to cemeteries, you do pick up spirit. Some cemeteries you pick up absolutely nothing at all. We usually pick up something, and often we find that spirit sort of keep their distance a bit, and occasionally you get one or two that will come to have a bit of a chat to you. Your visitors coming into the cemetery, so we'll just be very careful of what we are doing. We're just
She's trying to give me a word.
historic caretakers. That's what we are.
She's trying to give me a word. She's laughing because I can't.
Quite often though, if you just ask, you sometimes get spirit coming towards you, and you know they feel your attitude, and if they feel that your morals are good, they'll come forward, might have a bit of a chat. And it's just a matter of just opening up your senses. I mean, it's not that you will often see them. Occasionally, if you're lucky, you might see a shadow or see a figure or something. But the thing is, most of the time you just got to go by your feelings. Trust your senses, trust your feelings. If you get stories in your mind, you get visions, pictures, whatever, that's all good.
She's laughing at me because I can't get it.
Beth's cracking up laughing because she's trying to...
She's trying to teach me a word in her language, and I am so dyslexic, I can't get it. And she's laughing her ass off.
You were not born Aboriginal.
No, I was not born with phonics either. I'm dyslexic.
You were born dyslexic. There's just a couple down here I wanted to have a look at. These ones are sort of like sitting out alone. It's obviously a burial here. Or it's marked but unmarked. It's not a substantial grave. Probably a child, Bethany is thinking, and so am I. Just have a squeeze over here. Inscription there says gone but not forgotten. That's about all that's left. Got Harris on this one. Look, just walking through this area here, I'm sort of like sinking into the ground in a few little spots, so I'd say there are some burials that are not marked at all. So this is possibly burial. Send blessings to all that were buried here in the cemetery. That's what you do. And yeah, a couple of old ones, no markings, so we don't know who's here. couple over here I want to have a look at as well, just before we sign out. Beth's still trying to get this Aboriginal word. She says, I'm the worst language student. You ought to hear her try to talk English.
I have my own language. It's called Bethany. It's called, people need to learn how to speak Bethany.
Yeah, that's it. People have got to learn to speak and understand Bethany.
And
It's as simple as that.
the subtext is actually Englishing.
What's Englishing?
It's Englishing.
It's Englishing.
So make up my own word.
It's a special language that is all
It's all mine.
Bethany's.
That's right. If you don't understand Bethany, you learn it pretty quickly.
You don't see tiles too often.
This is interesting. This has got me. I don't know what that is.
Hmm. Again, one of the older ones. Bit of wrought iron. There's a little bit of wrought iron on some of the graves. Not a lot. Quite a hill, quite a view.
She's trying to give me the word for healer. For doctor, for healer.
Okay.
Except I'm a dyslexic white Australian chick and I can't pick up the phonics of it. But I don't know whether she thinks I need a healer. She's a healer. She does the medicine. But she keeps pointing to me and saying it. So she thinks that she's picking up on the pain, I'd say. So that's good.
There you go. She's probably trying to send you a little bit of healing while you're here.
I'm thinking that's what the go is.
And you know, when
a lot of pain
this is the
today.
thing too, it's like when you are in cemeteries, you might come across spirit that do feel that you are in pain. They do feel that you have some sort of an illness.
You feel
And,
that you might be emotionally not
you
doing
know,
so well.
If in their life that they were some form of healer, they quite often step forward and try to give you in some sort of form, some sort of spiritual healing.
Yeah, that's what she's doing. That's the word I'm trying to get and I can't get it. But see, that's like my spirit girl Bethy. She used to work in a hospice. She was a nurse. And she often flashes her ball and starts talking to me when I'm really, pain. She tries to help.
The thing is that, you know, people wander around cemeteries or wander around other places, abandoned places or whatever, and I think that the spirit are just, you know, roaming around, and a lot of times, yeah, they are just roaming around. They are lost souls, they are lost and confused, but there are times when they're quite at peace with the land and they're quite happy to be where they are, and they don't really want to go anywhere else. And if they're happy and content spirit where they are, it's like just now with this Aboriginal lady who was part of this land,
Yeah, she's
connected to Bethany, and this Aboriginal lady being a healer realised that Bethany needs a lot of healing,
I'm in a lot of pain
because
today.
there's a lot of issues that Bethany's actually going through, and getting out just today has been an absolute miracle.
Yeah, because I haven't been
Quite
out.
often we've had to abandon investigations because Bethany just has not even been able to get up off the couch. So, so this Aboriginal lady obviously was stating something about healing and trying to give.
She's laughing her ass off at the fact I can't get the word.
You can't get the words,
No.
yeah, but all in all, she's still got that healing thing, even though she's in spirit. Realises Bethany needs a little bit
But
of healing.
she's also suffered as well. She's also suffered as well because she's showing me the scars on her ankle.
Yep.
and the scarring around
Yep.
her neck and the
Yep.
scarring on her arm. So for someone who's Indigenous to pick up that a dyslexic white Australian chick is in pain, that takes a huge amount of empathy, and for someone to step past the past and live and see what is happening now. Because I don't look like the guy that was up the back. I'm not in the same clothing. I'm not dressed as a Victorian lady. So
And we've got some people coming for a walk in now, so we'll shut off the video.
yeah.
Just very quickly, this headstone here, as soon as we came in, I was immediately drawn to it, and this is
Oh,
going to
look,
be
it's
the
John
last
West.
little stop.
Sorry, John West, the tuna guy.
The tuna guy. All right. So this is Henry John West.
So he
And
went
the-
his.
What Bethany's little
His-
joke is, he's a tuna guy
Yeah,
because John West Tuna.
Yeah, so his name was Henry, but he went by
And
his
the-
middle name, John.
The
And he was
ironic thing is that if he's John West the tuna bloke, it says underneath it, who was accidentally drowned. So, John West the tuna bloke was accidentally drowned.
I didn't see that. I just saw John West and got
Some
a,
bloody big tuna jumped over the top of the boat, knocked him over, and he drowned.
yeah, and I'm not
Serves
being
you bloody right.
I'm
But
not
anyway.
being disrespectful, but I saw John West and immediately
So
saw the
this
tuna
is-
can. You know, got a flash of the tuna can.
This
So
is-
maybe he was a fisherman.
This is Henry John West. So we send you, Henry John West, a lot of blessings because you were accidentally drowned on January 28th, 1860.
Yeah, maybe he was a fisherman.
Probably over here,
Yeah, at the
oh, I can't see through the trees now, but
at the lake.
Learmonth Lake.
Yeah,
Probably at Learmonth Lake.
yeah.
He was aged 14.
Mm.
And down the bottom here it says, be still and know the. The other bit is
God.
God. Okay, so we send you blessings, and we're sorry about the joke there,
Yeah.
Henry,
I think he's laughing with us.
but yeah,
Yeah.
lots of blessings.
Shut the camera off.
Cheers. Just as we left the cemetery, Beth started stating a couple of things in the car, which are things that I know, but I thought they were really good, and we just pulled up at the lake here just so Bethany can repeat what she said.
Telling Rick that there's this very much this misconception about going paranormal investigating and going into cemeteries and, you know, taking all the equipment and you know, it's all going to be woo-woo scary, you know, it's all, everything's out to get you. I've seen a lot of paranormal investigators walk into a cemetery and go, hi, I'm here to talk to you, but I don't give you permission to touch me, I don't give you permission to do this, I don't give you permission to follow me home. And they state all of these rules before the spirit has even had a moment to talk, really, which comes from fear. And there's an element of, you know, caution to paranormal investigating. But there's also that element that if you want the interaction, you have to be open to it. I'm not very well at the moment. This is the first time I've gotten out in probably 5 days. I've been able to walk, and I can't walk very far. So for me to get out and do anything is a bloody miracle, really. This Indigenous lady that we were connected to at the cemetery, she didn't have to do any of what she did. You know, she walked out of the bush. She felt my pain. She felt that I've had a bit of an emotional week as well. And she didn't have to do anything of what she was doing. And what she was doing was trying to give me some kind of relief from the pain that I've got. And she was a weathered, old, ancient lady. You know, she had her hair tied up in a bun on top of her head, and she had, you know, wisps of grey hair coming down her face, and she had about 3 teeth at the front, and she had nothing on the top, and she was proud of the fact she was bare-chested, and she had this little skirt on to cover her. And, you know, she was quite willing to try and help me, some random chick that walked in and started talking to spirit. It makes you, it was a very humbling experience for me to have a spirit. I've helped lots of spirit. I've crossed spirit over. I've connected them to their loved ones. I've done all sorts of spiritual work and I've helped spirit. That's what I do. But to have one wander out of the bush, feel my pain, empathize with that pain, even though she has had a lot of pain. She was the subject of slavery. To look past that historical pain that she had and want to help a complete stranger is a very humbling experience. And I said to Rick, I wish sometimes everyone else could see what I see. Because this woman, she was proud of how old she was. She was proud of her age. She was proud of every wrinkle on her face. She was proud of the fact her boobs were almost down to her knees and she didn't care. You know, she was a proud indigenous woman. And she wanted to help this very frail looking white chick who was showing the respect that she deserved, that the spirit deserved. It's not, paranormal investigating is not about walking into a cemetery and sitting down and demanding the spirit to talk to you. They don't have to talk to you. They don't have to light up a cat ball or a K2 meter. They don't have to swing my rods around. They don't have to do any of it.
Hang on.
They don't have to do any of it. They choose to. I have over 200 spirit dolls at home. Probably 80% of them have some kind of an attachment. Probably half of those I talk to on a regular basis, and there's a small few that will use equipment. And they use that equipment because they want to talk to us.
And this lady, obviously, she wanted to come forward. As I was picking up, it's like the old saying, you can have 10 mediums in a room,
and they'll all pick up on something different. Yeah.
Well, my focus was on the male. It was a bit of a gruff figure. I was picking up on him. I was getting his story. Bethany was actually a lady was attracted to, an Aboriginal lady was attracted to Bethany because of a healing sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the lady wanted to give Bethany some healing.
I'm in a lot of pain. I've probably been in a lot of pain. My week has been full of pain. I haven't been able to get off the couch since Wednesday. So, and that's because of a medical condition I have, which for now we'll keep to ourselves. But for that spirit to want to help, that was her choice.
And look, I wrote a book a couple of years ago called Spirit of People Too. And that instance actually just shows you that spirit are people too.
They are.
It's like people are caring, people can be compassionate, or people can be gruff and arseholes. Yeah. Like this old gentleman who was more or less a controlling person, the one that I was picking up on, and he was most probably controlling people to work for him.
And see, you know, people assume you go into a cemetery, it's all woo-woo scary. Well, no, it's not. It's, you go in there with the intent of communicating, fair enough. But if you go in there and, you know, there's an element of caution when you do paranormal investigating. I wear my protection, Rick's got his. You know, we have our protective ways of spiritual protection. But if you go into a cemetery or a building or a site with fear or with the intent that it's all bad, then that's exactly what you're going to find.
If you go into a cemetery or a site with the intent to treat spirit as people, then you will start attracting people that do want to communicate with you.
Yeah.
Some spirit may sit back, like today there was a few spirit that were sitting back just watching what we were doing. It was like, who are you guys? Hang on a minute, what's going on here? What do you got in your hand?
Yeah.
You know, it's being the cameras and whatever else. And they'll watch, but the chances are next time we go back, one or two of them might come forward.
Yeah.
Oh, we've seen you before.
Yeah.
You were talking to that Aboriginal lady.
Yeah.
You must be okay.
Yeah. And
I'll have a chat to you.
And the thing is, we've gone to places that we tend to go back to. They call our names out over the spirit box.
Yeah, it's happened quite a lot.
There's one site where I'm very connected with the family that run that old site in particular, and they will call out my name over the spirit box. They will be there to meet the car. They know we're coming. They will meet me at the car door. I don't even get out of the car. And that same site, you know, we've been there before. We walked through Ballarat Cemetery 3 days after I lost Cruiser. And they were yelling out dog over the spirit box. They were yelling out his name over the spirit box because they didn't understand where he was. So
they were so used to seeing
him,
Cruiser the dog, with us.
Yeah. So I've had places, after I lost Cruiser, there were places we went, and the first word that came out over the spirit box was dog, because I didn't know where he was. And that's happened at Ballarat, both the cemeteries, both the old cemetery and the new one. There's one particular spirit at the old cemetery which he meets me at the gates and walks around with me. There's a couple at the new cemetery that will pretty much hone in on when I'm there, and they asked where Cruiser was. This lady, she recognised I was in pain. And I'm a pretty stoic sort of person. I don't tend to... If I'm swearing with pain, it's usually at home, so the whole household can hear it. But when I'm working, it's put up and shut up. And she could see that I was struggling, and I am struggling today. So today's investigation wasn't about how much communication we could get. It's a lesson in that they're people. That every spirit you meet is a person. You might get a bully boy asshole spirit, but it's still a person. You might get a little kid who likes to cause trouble and mischief and move things, but they're still a person. You might get a womanizer. I've had male spirit try and put their hand up my skirt. I had one that used to slap me on the ass, but they're still people. And the only time they're not people is when you get something dark, and you know you've got something dark when you get it. And that's a different story, but that's very rare. There are asshole spirit, there are womanizers, there are murderers, there are rapists, there are child molesters, they're asshole spirit, but they're human. Then you get people who passed away to suicide. You get people who passed away to drug addiction. You get people who passed away due to alcoholism. They're still people. And then you get spirit like BB who had a disability. And I've got another spirit who has schizophrenia. I've got another spirit when Mags appears, she's got half a head missing. She makes no sense whatsoever, because she died on the operating table while they were trying to remove a brain tumour. Nothing she says makes sense. Absolutely nothing. I've got a spirit that is literally headless. We call her actually Headless Anne. My daughter named her. It's a play on the Harry Potter character. But she doesn't like change in the house. She'll run through the corridor screaming and throw her head at you energetically. But she's not a demonic spirit. Something in her life went terribly and utterly wrong.
People in general can have all sorts of things happen in their life, and when they pass away, they still hold those feelings, those memories. If they haven't crossed over, they will hold the feelings and the memories. So basically, when we feel something that a lot of people think is negative because they don't get a good feeling, we actually view it as, okay, what's going on with this spirit? What's going on in their life? And when you start thinking like that, you start having that empathic side.
Yeah.
And you start losing the fear. You start being more inquisitive.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough to be able to, in some way, whether it's mediumship or whether it's through cat balls or paranormal equipment, spirit boxes, whatever, in some way you might be able to find out how that spirit is feeling, what happened to them just before they died, and then you start realizing that yucky, awful feeling that you had is not something bad, but it's their emotions, it's their feeling. And, you know, you lose that fear because you start educating yourself that, hang on a minute, the feelings that I'm getting here, whose feelings are they? You know, why are these spirit having these feelings? And once you start inquiring that, you start finding that spirit become more attracted to you and do want to talk to you, because a lot of the time they have no one to talk to. And if you can act as like almost a counsellor, and just chat to them, and you never know what's going to happen during a paranormal session if you do that.
I have a spirit at home that connected to one of my dolls, and she has bipolar and schizophrenia. She was subjected to a lobotomy. Her emotions were all over the place. And she went through the light when Cruiser went through the light. Cruiser took her through. She went through with Cruiser, and then she came back. Before she went through the light, she was non-verbal. She looked like the chick out of The Ring with the hair and the hospital gown. She would grunt and moan and scream and yell and vocalize, but nothing came out. That was the result of what happened to her. She had half a brain taken out. When she came back through the light, she told me that she came back because she's now found her voice and she's healing. Today, I was on the receiving end of something very, very special, because instead of me doing the healing, a spirit went out of her way to help me. And that, out of everything that I've done with spirit and with the paranormal investigating that we do, that's probably the most awesome experience I've had.
It just goes to show you that spirit are people too. And if you remember that fact, when you approach any paranormal investigations, or when you have some sort of a spirit activity around you, if you remember that spirit are people too, and focus in that direction, focus on communicating with them in that direction, amazing things can happen, just like what happened today with Bethany.
Yeah, because I've really had a shitty week, and that's just made it a little bit better.
Alright, well, thanks for watching the vid.
See ya.
And we'll catch you later.
Bye.
Wave, baby. Bye.
Bye.
So just to finish off, we'd like to thank the spirit, the Aboriginal lady who came to chat with us. I'd like to thank all the other spirit that are around watching for allowing us to be here. And we think that you've created quite a nice little feel, quite a nice little energy here in this cemetery. And we know that there's been a few of you in the background. And maybe next time you might like to come and have a bit of a chat too. Cheers everyone, thanks for watching.